But so welcome to the Real Estate Study Group. We have a very special guest. Kewal is in the house. Welcome, Kewal. Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And Kewal took his exam 9 days ago. Oh, a week
Yeah.
from Saturday, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, he's going to come on with us, and he's going to give us some tips and tricks and see what he saw on the exam to help a lot of you. I wanted to get this knocked out before the holidays. So thanks for Kewal. Thanks for taking the time to come on, and we're going to talk to him right after this. Okay, well, thanks for coming on again. And welcome to the study group. I know you've been a member not too long. You did pretty good getting through classes, right?
Yeah. I've been a member for like probably 4 months.
Yeah, great. Well, tell us a little bit about you. Where do you live? The whole 9 yards. Tell us a little bit about you.
So, hi, my name is Kewal Gajmer, and I live in Reynoldsburg. I was born in Nepal, which is in Asia. I work 5 days a week. So, I only have 2 days that I have off on my free times. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a full-time job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that makes it hard, when you're studying things like that. So let me ask you this before we get into it. How did you, because that's typical. You're a very typical student. But I guess my question to you is, how did you balance working a full-time job plus studying? How did you do it? Give some tips for those who are just busy professionals.
So for me, it was mostly since I work around evening shifts. So I try to find a time in my days, which is basically in the morning, around 10 to 12 o'clock is how is the time I studied. And
Okay.
yeah.
How long did it take you? Because you did it through Hondros and you did it all online, right? Kewal,
Right.
you did it all online? Okay. How long from the day you started, like when you first cracked open your P&P book to when you finished the work? Not the studying, but like your books. How long did that take you?
So it took me a long time because I was on and off. In the beginning, it was mostly because
Okay.
most like other people, I thought didn't have time and like I was working and on and off. It was all that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's hard.
started it. Yeah, I started it on 2022, I think 2022 of September around there.
Oh, okay. So over a year ago,
Yeah,
you bought the package. Okay. So you did
right.
an extension then.
Yeah, I
An
have to do an
extension?
extension. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And for those at home that doesn't know what that means is you have 6 months through Hondros to go through your curriculum, and if you don't do it, then you can do an extension. You gotta pay for it, so I always tell people, don't try to get it done within 6 months for sure.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that was helpful? Or if you could be like, do it all over again, okay, well, how would you do it? Would you wait a year, or would you be like, no, 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 I should have got it done quicker? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I should have got it done very, very quicker because
Okay.
the course is not that long and you can finish it up to like 3, 4 months. But for me, it was just not finding the right time and all that. But if I could go back, I definitely have times, but I didn't see it.
Okay.
So
You think you could done it in 3 months, 4 months
three,
at most?
yeah, yeah,
I agree. I agree. That's kind of the sweet spot. I've
nice.
seen students get it done in a month. That's
Hmm.
that's fast.
Oh,
2 to 3 months is probably about right. Are
right,
you busy studying? Oh, of course. Right. You're doing it 5 nights, an hour each night for 5 days a week or something.
right.
So, yeah. Okay. Um, so that was a good tip. So everyone at home, if you're dragging it out, that doesn't help. So did you study a lot at the beginning and then take a long break and then jump back into it? How did you do that? Like what was the process like for you?
So I did study a lot, but I just started dragging it too much, and I had
Okay,
like a bunch of gaps in the middle, and that's the point where I
got it.
started to forget what I studied before. So
Yeah.
to all of you guys, I would definitely recommend you study it and then take the test quick as possible, because the longer you take, the more you're gonna forget what you studied. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, I 100% I agree with that. So, okay. Well, then let's transition to when you were studying and things. What, like, okay, well, what did you study? Like, once you got through the curriculum, what did you
Mhm.
study that was like, ah, this was really helpful. I'm glad I studied that because it really helped me. And it could be anything. I know you mentioned when we were off air, like the grammar, like,
Right.
oh, I'm so glad did that, or I'm so glad I studied these things. Was there anything, a couple tips that you could say, hey, you guys need to do this. This is what's coming
Yeah.
on the exam.
Yeah, the first thing I would recommend you, and I think it's by far the most helpful, is definitely the live stream crammer. The live stream
Hmm.
crammer, it helps you understand how the test is, what kind of questions you're going to get on the test, and at the end they explain what the right answer is and how it is, and that definitely helped me up so much.
The grammar was
Yeah,
really
the live
helpful.
stream. Yeah,
Do you mind me asking what did you get on the grammar? The first you took it once, right?
yeah, I
Cable.
took it once. Yeah,
W-
so
Um, do you remember what your score was on the grammar?
I got a 59.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's put it in perspective. And I asked you
Mhm.
beforehand, like, is
All
it
right.
okay to say this? You passed the state the first time, but failed the national, right? Okay, well,
No, I passed the national first, and then the state.
oh, you passed the national and state. Okay. All right. So you passed the national, failed the state, which
Hmm.
that is a great place to be in because the state's a
Right.
little easier statistically. It's
Hmm.
shorter. Okay. So you took the crammer and was like, we'll say you got a 60 on the crammer. Do you
Hmm.
feel like after you took the crammer, it really bumped you up 10, 15 points, right? Because you passed the
Yeah.
national, and that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely, I would definitely say it definitely boosted my score up, because before it,
Mhm.
I don't think I would have passed the test. But when I took the live stream,
Really?
grammar,
Okay.
it boosted my the knowledge and informations a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because some people, when they take the crammer, they're getting like a 60, 70, 75, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to
Hmm.
take the exam yet." And it's like, that's not too bad. You're actually
Right.
pretty good,
Yeah.
so, and I'm glad you mentioned that because the problem, what happens is, like, you get students that, like you had a 60, well, 58 or
Hmm.
60, whatever it was, but
Right.
you still went and took the test and you passed the national, right? First
Right.
time.
Hmm.
And, a lot of students say, "Oh, I'm not there yet. I need to study more and more." And then guess what happens? Oh, Christmas came. "Ah, I can't study during Christmas." And then,
Right.
oh, New Year's Eve, then I don't even what's in January. Whatever. There's always something. And then before they know it, it turns out to be a year. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're testing in that 60 range on the crammer, take the test. You're really, really close on doing it. You only need a 70 to pass.
Mm.
So, okay. Did you do anything? Did you study anything outside of any Hondros material? A lot of people on here are Hondros. But
So I
anything
did,
else
I
outside of
did,
what Hondros offered?
I did think about taking the PSI, but no, I mostly studied through Honduras. The crammers, they had the books, and those are the things that I did study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Crammer books and stuff. Okay. And everyone on we have people coming on and things like that. If you have any questions, we're live. It's 11 o'clock, Monday, December 5th.
Fourth,
What is today?
fourth, I
4th.
think.
Gosh, this
Yeah.
Monday, it's wrecking me this morning. You have any questions for Kayla? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Well, he'll answer them live. So we have one coming in. I think this is more of a comment. So it says the crammers are not helpful when they're the same time every time. I couldn't make
Mhm.
one, and now I'm 3 months out from finishing classes, and I'm too afraid to test. And my review crammers is expired. Is that something that needs to change? Um, I don't know who the name of this Facebook user is, but if
Mhm.
you have passed, if you've passed your um, your 6 months and you just haven't been able to get a crammer, sometimes they will reactivate the crammer portion on your portal. So call student services, but they only do crammers Fridays and Saturdays. That's it. They don't do them on Sundays or Mondays, and it's just an all day thing. So, okay, well, can you tell everyone how long the crammer is? Do you remember? I know it wasn't that long ago, but
Um,
do you remember how long that day was for you?
oh,
What that
it's
looked
very
like?
long. So they make us take the test, and I think it was about almost 2 hours long, around
Mhm.
one 120 minutes to 2 hours. So it was
Mhm.
between that and after you take the test, you take a little break, and then
Mhm.
you join a live stream, and they explain and they go through the test and all that, and how what's right and what's wrong, and they explain it all to you.
Mhm.
But it's pretty long.
Yeah,
It's almost the whole day goes by.
it is. Yeah, it starts at 9. It's gonna take you 2 to 3 hours to get through the practice exam. It's just
Yeah.
we try to mock it like an exam. That's what you're trying to do, like, practice exam, and then you take a break for lunch, and then you go in and you go through the exam, and they go through every question, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Mhm.
everyone, and it's a
Yeah.
long day. What time did yours get over? Like 5 PM?
Mine was like, yeah, around 5 or 6.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. Especially
Um, yeah.
when they have questions, and when people are asking questions, it gets longer and longer. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, right, depends on what kind of questions. So,
Mm.
we have a couple more questions coming through. Sandeep says, "I have a question." Yes, Sandeep, go ahead and put it in the chat. Go ahead and put it in the chat. We got a couple more filing through. You're popular. Okay, well, they love you. Here we go. Here's another question. Um, Ferrari says, halfway through taking the classes online. Everything seems overwhelming. Yes, it does. In
Mhm.
terms of information, are there
Mhm.
any specific things or topics they should focus on? So, is there any topics or subjects they should focus on? Okay, well,
So
do
I
you
would
remember?
say definitely focus more on like contracts, about contracts and practice of real estate agencies. Um,
Mhm.
those are the questions that come a lot in the national part. I had I kind of wrote it down. I had 15 questions just about contracts, practice of
Oh,
real
okay.
estate 10 questions, and agency 10 more questions. So like there are a lot of questions about that, and yeah.
Yep. Contracts, agency, absolutely. First 3 chapters of law, big,
Yeah.
big for the state. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I hope that helps. All right, we got another question. You ready? Okay, well, you ready? We got another one coming.
Yep.
All right, he gave us a thumbs up. All right. I feel like practicing practice tests. It's been helping me with prep agent, then Hondros, and then congrats. Okay, well, I feel like practicing practice tests, it's been helping me with prep agent. I don't know if that's a comment or question, but did you do many practice tests?
So I did do the grammar test that you can take on your own. I did take a lot, but I feel like people have different ways they study and ways they get their informations. But also, I did
Mhm.
take a lot of practice tests, and that definitely helps a lot too.
Okay. Yeah, like the ones at the back of the book and or in each chapter, the chapter
Yeah.
quizzes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are always helpful. Sandeep, he's back on. The first, he says, I'm doing CompuCram and PSI. So he's doing
Oh wow.
PSI and CompuCram. And then he
Hmm.
says, I passed my state, which that's
Hmm.
very typical. But any
Yeah.
suggestions? He's having trouble with the national part of the exam. I think you kind of answered this a little bit ago, like what
Right.
topics. And I know I've talked to Sandeep about contracts. I get some. Any tips on the national test at all?
National is definitely pretty long. So, yeah, like I said, the topics that I already said, and also including about loans, conventional loans, FHA loans.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say you have to worry about any math questions.
Okay, cool.
People,
Good.
I had people asking me as well, what kind of math questions you get and all that. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely say don't worry about it, because what I did on my test was when I got a math questions, I just skipped it. I just skipped it and finished the test.
Okay.
And at the end of the test, the remaining times I had, I took the math test, because you only get like, I got 4 to 5 questions, just math, townships and stuff like that. But definitely don't have to worry about math questions that much, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's yeah, great point. Everyone gets hung up on it. I want to touch on it. I want to double back on that math stuff. So you think you had 'em maybe there's minimum 5. So you think
But
you had maybe 5? Is that what you
yeah,
think, K-Wall? Okay, so you
but
had maybe 5. And what you did, and no one has ever said this before on the interviews, when you got a math question, you didn't even look at it, you skipped it immediately. Is that what you did?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's not a bad strategy. No one's ever said that, so that's a good strategy. And then
Mhm.
let me ask you this: how much time did you have, like, to finish the national? Do you remember? Like, did you have like a half hour left, 20 minutes?
Oh, when I
I'm just trying to
finished the thing,
the national. Like, so you skipped all your math questions,
right?
and then you got to the end of the test. Did you
Mhm.
have plenty of time to go back and do those math questions?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or you
I had
okay.
25 minutes left.
Okay, it
Um,
wasn't like you were scrambling around and answering these math
yeah,
questions with minutes to
no.
spare, right? Okay.
So I
So
would
you got
definitely say about time. A lot of people be like, "That's a short amount of time" and all that. I would say don't worry about it. Just take like a minute to a question. Give a minute to a question, and especially every question has two answers that are completely off. That doesn't make sense. So just try to cut them off, and it's a 50-50 after that.
yeah.
So
Mhm. That's right. Another good point. What K-Wall's saying is, like, if you had a question, like a real estate related question, or say it's a sports question, it'll be like A, football, B, basketball, C, car, and D, truck. You'd be like, what's car and truck in there? What does that have to do with sports? It's got to be basketball or football. I don't know. And you make a lucky guess sometimes. So can you, going back to math, because I know this question comes up a lot. Someone was supposed to jump on and ask about mortgage questions. Do you remember what kind of math questions you had? Do you remember? You said townships. Did you have
yeah, I
the
did get
township one?
ships, and I think I got some mortgages question or loans, and it was about
Like
it was kind of like how much commission will the agent get after the end and all that type of questions. I got,
commissions? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's pretty basic math. So like or maybe down payment. Like you want to
yeah,
buy $100,000 house, you're going to put 10% down. How much does your client have to bring? Well, 10% of 100,000, 10,000,
10,000,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah, and you had plenty of time to answer all the math questions when you went back too, right? Okay, well,
yeah. I have plenty of
okay.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, we got Joel. Joel's in the house. We know Joel. So Joel said what was your preparation for the day before? You wanted to talk about this, didn't you?
Yes.
Joel teed us up on this one. So, all
Mhm.
right. So what did you do the day before? Because a lot of people, and you were not one of them, but
Mhm.
have always come to me and say, I'm so scared to take the test. They're like, it's like there's a saying called paralysis by analysis. Like they're just
Yeah.
they can't do anything. They just like keep studying, but never even sit for the exam. So what did you do the day before? Tell me what that
So
day looked like. Thanks,
I was
Joel, for
talking
asking.
I was talking to you about this too, and I feel like before the test and the day before the test and on the test, I think it's very important what you do, because the
Mhm.
stress that builds up will definitely not help in the test. And what I did was, before the day of the test, all I did was I reviewed everything that I studied for like an hour or half an hour, right?
The
And then
day
I
of the
just
test?
no, the
Okay,
day before.
before. Okay, you
Yeah,
spent 1 hour studying the day
yeah,
before. That was
just
it.
yeah,
Okay.
that was it. Just like a review. And I kind of did what I like to do, play games and all that, just to calm yourself down and to get that stress level out.
Okay.
And definitely have enough sleep and all that, obviously. And on
Mhm.
the day of the test, what I think that calms me down is I had some tea. I would definitely advise you guys to go to the library, and they have this little study room that you can reserve. And I went there and like reviewed it a little more. And throughout the whole day and before the day, I would just say don't stress out, because the stress is the one that makes you feel like you're not going to pass the test, and just be confident about passing the test.
Mhm. Did you take it at Groveport, right? You went to Groveport for your
I
your exam?
Yeah, I think it was GoPro.
You're in
Yeah.
Reynoldsburg, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Did you go to the testing center like, the day or 2 before to know where you were going to check it out or no?
Oh, I definitely did. I went there two times before
Okay.
um I went to take the test, just so when you're going to take the test, like, just so you know the directions, you don't stress yourself out and all that. I think that helps a lot
Okay.
too.
What I'm trying just to make it clear, like, and everything he's saying so good. Okay, well, we haven't talked about the last couple because you mentioned you didn't talk about it last time because we get
Yeah,
sidetracked sometimes in our
yeah.
conversations. But what he's saying is that he went to the testing center not on the day of the exam, his exam. He went there like a couple days before. Just drove over there. Listen, so many people do it. I know they do it because they tell me, and I tell them to do it. But go there, get out of your car, like walk in, just kind of look in it's like a waiting room, but like they'll be like, "Can I help you?" And you'll say, "I just want to know where I'm going. I'm taking the exam. Is this where I go?" And it'll alleviate a lot of that stress because you
Mm.
just know where you're going the next day or the next week. So, but very good. Now, why did you go to the library? Is it more because you needed that like silence, that peace and quiet you couldn't get at home? Is that what you're saying? Okay, well,
Yeah, the reason why I did go there, because you just, like, if when you're in your house and there's like a lot of things going, it just stresses you out more. I just went
right.
there
Okay.
and just like the silence makes you like the stress level will calm down and all that. So I would definitely
Hmm.
say it helps. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Go somewhere that's dead quiet and yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I used to do that in college, the college days. So that was a long time ago. Okay, well, we don't want to talk about that. All right. Sandeep has another question. Here it comes. Okay, well, it's how did you review the day before? Okay, so did you go in through any specific questions, etc.? You only studied an hour the day before. Is that
Yeah,
right?
about
Okay,
an
well,
hour, an hour
what did you
30. Yeah.
study then? Like
So
an hour is not
what
very long. What did you study?
so what I had was, throughout the month that I was studying, I had kept notes. I written down notes. So what I did was I just studied the notes, and on my note it was like not like a description, or like I put the definitions and stuff into my own words, so I can understand it way much better. And I reviewed that only.
So what did it like? What did it comprise of? That's probably what Sandeep's saying. Like, what
Um,
was in your? Does that make sense? Like,
Mhm.
were there certain chapters or topics that you were studying that hour and a half?
Right. From the finance book, it was probably from chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. I think those three chapters are the most important in the finance. And a lot of agencies, and especially on the state test, I'm going to tell you guys that you get a lot of questions that has like, what do you need to do to keep your license, and what do you not need to do? You'll get a lot
Mhm,
of questions of like that in your state part.
mhm,
So basically, some most important the topics that I said earlier. I read those chapters, just write down important notes, and that's what I just reviewed.
mhm. Okay, okay. And did you review that? Why did you review that? Out of all your stuff, why that? Like, why did you is it something you thought you were struggling with, or why did you study that specific stuff?
One of the reason why was I took the live stream crammer, and it kind of gave me a brief description on what I struggled with the most. And
Okay.
looking at those topics and looking at those results, I kind of based it on that.
Okay. So when you did your crammer, you were looking at what you struggled on and say, "Okay, I gotta start studying this a little bit more."
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Um, that was the you guys we'll be wrapping up here shortly. We don't want to keep Kwell's time up here, but I do have another question, and if anyone wants to throw any second questions here, we can. But is there anything that you studied, Kwall, that you were like, yeah, that was kind of a waste? I don't worry about that, guys. I know you mentioned math. That's always
Mhm.
one, but like, or something that like you did and you're like, man, I can't, that was stupid. I should have done it that way. It could be anything, anything that you
Right.
bought, materials, anything that you did that was a waste, time, money, whatever.
Mhm.
I guess these are don'ts,
Um,
not do's.
I would say the first time I started studying was I started reading the whole principal practice book,
Mm-hmm.
and I started reading the whole finance book. And I would say you don't need to learn all of the things that are in the book. There
Mm-hmm.
are specific topics and things that you do need to learn, but I would say not a lot of them that you need to learn and pass the test. You can just focus on specific topics that helps you. That's all I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's important is that you don't have to study. Someone asked that question like they just felt like there was just so much information or something. Feel like I can't remember who it was, um, but there's a lot of information, and you don't
Right.
have to know all of it. A lot of people will say, "Well, then why do they teach us that? Why do they make us learn all like teach all of it?" Well, the state of Ohio says you got to have 120 hours.
Hmm.
So you got to fill it with something. They don't test
Right.
you on 120 hours, but so I think that's the thing. There's not that much chapters that are really on the exam. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing. Especially because most people are like, okay, well, they have another job or they have children and they're really busy. They're just not someone who's, an 18-year-old right out of high school that's, living with their parents and all they do is sit around and study.
Right.
So and you only need a 70. You only need a 70.
You only need
No one
70.
That's right. No one cares if you get a 71 or a 91. It doesn't make you a better realtor. It really
Mhm.
doesn't. So, but any last questions before we get off? Um, okay. Well, anything else, tips or anything before we get off today?
Um, I don't have anything right now, but if you guys have a question, you can. I have my Gmail right here. You can ask me questions, and if you need help,
Yeah.
any kind of tips
Yeah.
I can give you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so if anyone wants to ask Kwall a question or maybe buy real estate, get a hold of Kwall. Is you can see it right below his name there. And we'll just put it in the comment section. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. So, okay, well, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for
Thank you,
coming. I
man.
really appreciate it. We're so happy to have you. Uh, as well at Ashmont. You got a lot of work ahead. Everything you learn, that's easy stuff. Now the hard stuff begins. So, but thanks for guys joining today. If you have any questions and you didn't get a chance to ask Kewal, just go ahead and put it in the description below, and we'll be happy to answer that. So, other than that, guys, have a great week. I don't think we'll have any other interviews until after Christmas. So we'll see you guys all then, and keep studying. Bye, everybody.